with you for this one. First matchup of the day was Ball State defeating the Fighting Farmers of America by a score of 90-60.
And if we're lucky, we're going to see some great close snitch action here too. So, I mean, when it comes out at the 17 or 18-minute mark, you got 5 balls running around the pitch, and it's hard to pick. But I think we're going to have some good snitch action again.
And also a reminder, tomorrow around 11 o'clock, be tuned in for our 8th man crew talk. Going to have a nice panel there, talk things over. We'll talk the surprises, some of the sleepers of U.S. Quidditch Cup 9. We'll also talk more about our location here for this year and what's to come for the future of Quidditch.
Absolutely. You're going to wish that you were here if you aren't already, because we're having a good time sitting in the sun. I've got my sunscreen because that's very important. I'm from Arizona, so you got to know.
I've just got long sleeves just about everywhere. Brooms up, we're underway. Maryland and British Columbia. A good collision right at midfield.
Bringing the heat both sides. This is what happens a lot of times when two teams have never met each other, is a collision at the midfield for the balls. Now they're going to have to learn how to dance around each other.
And an early whistle.
Play is stopped by head referee. Now it looks like Chris Locke from the Fighting Farmers of America, who just played on the pitch, on this pitch beforehand. Got a yellow card for number 1 on Maryland.
That is Eric King.
And we couldn't tell what it was for, but they are down a person right now.
Frustration early for Maryland. Again, a team that made it to the Final Four last year in Rock Hill.
Lewis Young at the middle field, passing it to his female chasers in the back. Shot from UBC to the middle hoop, no good overhead. Taking it to the Maryland keeper to the middle zone. Dodging UBC defense, hit with a bludger. We have an advantage call from the referee here, so there's going to be a call on UBC after this play.
And the goal wiped away there.
Waiting to see what referee Chris Locke calls here. Looking like bringing the keeper back from Maryland to the middle of the field. There was an advantage call for UBC. He had to put his hand up, so they did not stop momentum for Maryland. Maryland ball coming up towards the hoops. Jump shot to the right hoop. No goal. Wide right. Quaffle out back. Looks like it's picked up by UBC. And we got some fierce bludger play right here in the middle.
Just over a minute gone by here in match number 2 on pitch 1.
And we're already seeing some good physicality. They're sort of testing the boundaries as to where they are capable of moving each other. It's going to be a lot of moving bodies around. UBC's taking it slow up in the neutral zone. Brandon Rivas captaining and leading the charge with the bludger for number 1, Lewis Long. Number 1, Lewis Long for UBC. Careful with the quaffle. Hit from the front. Maryland charging it through, taking a chance. No dice.
Nice block.
Nice block from the Maryland chaser there. Looks like the quaffle's back in the neutral zone with Long. He's looking for some passes. Not a lot of movement from his team, but Maryland's definitely set up for defense.
Quaffle control here for British Columbia.
Doing well with the control, and they have at least one bludger. Every team is going to have at least possession of one bludger here in Quidditch, and that is very important to your defense and to the mechanics of the game. Both teams are really watching each other here.
And British Columbia in the royal blue with yellow outline, and Maryland in the black, red, and yellow uniforms.
Long taking up the left side. They do have bludger control, or as they say in Canada, BS, bludger superiority. They say a lot of things different there. Rivas is still leading the charge. Lewis Long overpasses it to the right, and it looks like it's off the pitch and recovered by Maryland. Maryland chaser takes it up, brings it to the keeper, looking for a reset play, and moving it up slow.
Still scoreless with 2.5 minutes gone by here in match 2.
Like I said, Brad, it's going to be a lot of feeling each other out here. They're doing some power plays, trying to test the limits of their own physicality and the physicality of the other team. We got an overshot by Maryland chasers into the backfield, and we got a stoppage play, which may be a turnover to UBC. Play is resuming. We got Maryland ball in UBC's backfield, charging forward. And definitely good bludger play from Captain Brandon Rivas in the backfield. Recovered both bludgers for UBC and a quaffle for UBC Captain Lewis Long.
So quaffle control right now for British Columbia. They're slowly working their way up the pitch.
very important that you're playing your own game. That's what I tell a lot of my players is, don't let the other team dictate how you want to play the game. UBC is coming out and deciding that, okay, we know how to play this game. We know how we play well together. Let's adjust to what they do, but this is still our pitch to command.
Now, from your past history of playing Quidditch and, of course, refereeing as well, are you a fan of teams that are high-scoring teams, or you like to keep it low-scoring?
It really depends on who they're playing. That's one of the great things about Quidditch is you have a wide variety of opponents. But I like to see a team play as a team, whether they're going at it fast or they're going at it slow, and and being very deliberate and calculated. A lot of teams that score very high are good teams. We also see a lot of one-off ballers there, and it can affect play. Maryland recovers the ball after a missed shot from UBC, and play is stopped with the ball at the Maryland keeper's own line. Looking for a decision from referee Chris Locke, sending a player off, number 1 from Maryland, into the box for at least a minute. A minute is it's a yellow card. That's 1 minute in the box, and they play a player down, as opposed to a blue card in Quidditch, which is more of a technical card. The player gets a 60-second timeout, but the team does not have to play another person down on the pitch. So it looks like we're going to have a 6-on-5 situation here, UBC on the power play, and we got Maryland ball still at their keeper's own line.
I'll ask you this as we get ready to resume play. The University of Texas at Austin, 3-time champion, 3-peat coming into this one. Who's your favorite to come out on top this year?
Not Texas. And I think that's a popular and unpopular opinion. I don't know how that works, but Texas has had it for a long time, and there's a reason for that. They have dedication, they have training, and they definitely did not skimp on that again this year. But with that comes talent, purebred talent out of Texas. And a lot of people are grown up with physical sports, and it really translates to Quidditch well. But they're starting to move out into other teams in the Lone Star, which is one of the clear favorites. But I do not think it's going to be going to UT Austin again this year.
And it was an all-Texas final last year with Lone Star QC and the University of Texas.
Absolutely, and the finals before that, we had A&M and UT. They are a powerhouse when it comes to it. Maryland gives us our first goal of the game in the left hoop. Oh, no, now it's tied 1-1. That's my fault. We got 1-1 with 13 minutes left before the 13 and a half minutes left before the snitch is released.
Showing off the range there on that shot.
Absolutely. We had almost, practically in the neutral zone. And that's what I really like to see, especially for my players, is I tell them, don't dunk. There's too much time for a beater to come up and tag you, and you don't know it. So it's really important to have that accuracy. Got some kerfuffles here on the UBC side. We got some bludgers, and Chris Locke is stopping play again. McWaffle's on the ground. Not quite sure who's going to come back up with it, but it is in a UBC zone with a lot of defenders around it. So I think we're going to have UBC charging up here. Maryland's going to have to get ready for defense, but I think they're really thinking about how they're going to have to set that up right now. How do you think about defense going through this game, Brad?
Continuing to slow things down. I saw a lot from Fighting Farmers. They use their size to protect the hoops, kind of limit the scoring opportunities, and that helped them build their lead. But then you had a team like Ball State who used their quickness and spacing.
Mm-hmm.
It's play your strategy. You mentioned it earlier. Play your style.
Absolutely. Don't let the other team dictate how you're going to play. And you mentioned their size. UBC is one of the smaller teams. And Maryland has had some large players, but they look to be equally matched as far as size here. Maryland keeper coming into the UBC zone, shoots for the right hoop, and it's a score for Maryland, bringing it to 20-10.
Maryland back in front with almost 5 minutes gone by here in match 2.
This is like you mentioned earlier, a lower scoring game. Both teams have been feeling each other out. There hasn't been a whole lot of quaffle movement, but they are starting to understand how they can get around the defense and how they can get around the beaters. Danny Lee for UBC, number 9, coming up the left side of the pitch, looking for a passing option, blocks a bludger, and gets a bludger to the feet from a Maryland beater.
It will be Maryland ball.
Maryland turnover. Chris Locke stops play and then resets. Back to the Maryland keeper into the neutral zone, crossing the line straight into the UBC zone. Looks for
there, no good.
Lot of speed. Tried to dunk it, got beat. Taken down at the keeper's own line. Maryland shoots over the hoops again, back into the backfield.
A couple of missed opportunities and what looked to be a guaranteed goal.
You'd think so. There's a lot of mechanics that go into it. That's why you got to really practice your passing, really practice your shooting, because it's not intuitive to throw a volleyball. They're not made to do that. So it takes a lot of practice, but both teams have had this, and we saw that with a long goal earlier in this match. We still have a stoppage of play here. Chris Locke stopping play and conferring with the referees. The ball did exit the back of the pitch behind UBC, and I believe that will be a turnover to UBC because it was a Maryland pass.
It is Brandon Rivas in control of the quaffle.
Brandon Rivas is a beater. We got Danny, that's Lewis passing it off, and a nice substitution, bringing it back out to UBC. Bringing in their refrigerator, coming up the right side. He is one of their keepers and an excellent physical player for UBC. Passing it over the hoops to a player, but overthrown back into the Maryland zone. Maryland picks it up to the right side with a chaser. Coming up with his other chasers, going through the middle. Right side, passes to the middle. 58 for Maryland, passes it to the keeper, who is shooting for the goal over the
Pass
middle hoop.
behind, an easy finish.
Nice. Now I thought that was going in, and we were talking about accuracy before, but he had the accuracy as a great pass to a player behind the hoops.
It was the extra pass that time. There was a couple of opportunities there for Maryland. They could have taken an earlier shot. They went for their for sure shot.
Yeah, they're making their plays. They know what they can and cannot make, and when they set themselves up well like that with a player behind the hoops, that's really important to make sure you nail it and make sure you are able to, so you know you can rely on that later in the game. Stoppage play here looks like going to be a turnover and beater play here. Number 27 for UBC is yellow carded, sent to the box. That's going to be a minute with a power play tour for Maryland here. Quaffle is going to be in Maryland possession at the middle of the field. We have a couple of beat off-room players here. UBC is already calling bludger immunity here, going for that third bludger on their side. Quick break from Maryland, shoots it through for a goal.
They extend their lead. 4-1.
4-1, it's starting to get out of snitch range here, and that can be discouraging for teams, but there's still 11 minutes left in this game, and a lot can happen. We have a UBC ball coming up the right side, a lot of escorts. We have an unarmed beater and a loaded beater. We had two beats there. One of them was called. UBC coming up the right side with the quaffle around the back, looking for a pass. Will he go for the hoop? Goes for the hoop, bounces around, no goal. Maryland keeper takes it, hit by UBC, but the pass is off. Passes to the Maryland chaser in the backfield for UBC, and it's a goal.
50-10. The range that time to pass that ball forward, get numbers ahead quickly.
Absolutely, get numbers ahead quickly and get hit in the numbers. That was a great pass, even though you're getting physical interaction that you really can't deal with.
I mean, well executed, fast break there
Absolutely,
that time for Maryland.
absolutely. These teams are coming into their own, but UBC may not be able to keep up with that unless they start to figure it out for themselves. They're bringing in some substitutions, changing things up, getting some play time for everybody so they can really start this tournament on a great note. Looks like an overpass to the UBC chaser into the Maryland bench, and that's going to be a turnover to Maryland.
Maryland with a total of 27 matches under their belt this year, 17 for UBC.
Yeah, Maryland is in the Mid-Atlantic Conference, or region rather. There's a high team density here, and that's really, really important for Quidditch development.
Put on one more, but a yellow card has just been issued.
A yellow card was issued after the goal. We'll see if that was an advantage call, but Maryland did score through UBC's left too. Looks like they are going to count it. Scores up on the board. Head referee Chris Locke is explaining to all players. Not quite sure what's happening in his mind, but we're going to see the effects of it here pretty soon. Goal is good. It is 60-10 in favor of Maryland. UBC with the quaffle, changing it around, starting to play their game.
Bludger control here for Maryland.
Yeah, the UBC really needs to get bludger superiority back. They had an early game and they were keeping it together, but now that Maryland has bludger control, it's really a different game for them. Maryland bringing up the right side, number 23 for Maryland. His chaser passes it to the middle keeper, and a shot to the left side, overthrown as a pass, and still in the player zone. Maryland picks it up. Stoppage of play from Chris Locke, looking for a ball turnover here.
It looks as though it is going to be UBC's quaffle.
UBC's quaffle starting in the back. Maryland's already ready to defend. Got to bring a bludger up. They do.
You've got a couple of options here right now. If you're Maryland, you have a 5-goal lead. You're approaching the halfway point until the seeker floor can slow things down, take some time off the clock if you'd like to.
Absolutely. You know, you don't want to gas yourself out, but you still have to hold your ground. I think they're really finding a happy medium with physicality and keeping themselves fresh for the rest of the game. It's very important, even though Quidditch matches can be short, it's important to really pace yourself and understand your physicality and the physicality of your team. Stray pass to the quaffle here in the neutral zone, picked up by number 10 on UBC, passed off to number 9. Number stoppage of play from head referee Chris Locke. Passes the quaffle, and it's a turnover to Maryland. Maryland with the quaffle here at the beginning of the play. And beater battles are really starting to heat up here. They're starting to understand how they can get around each other because UBC now has bludger superiority. We got 2 bludgers right there at the top of the key, and it's going to be a very, very formidable wall for Maryland to get around. We're walking up slow with the keeper and a beater escort, and really talking and communicating, which is very important in Quidditch. Coming around the left side in a break, cutting across the hoops, loses the ball, 1 kick, and picks it back up. That was a safe block from the Maryland keeper. Coming around the front of the hoops, no players to pass to, shoots and scores.
One more, the run continues.
Absolutely. They're getting their quick feet up, and they're really able to read the plays and read the field as to who's on their feet and who's off.
That is 7 unanswered goals since UBC got on the board first.
Absolutely. UBC figured it out early, but will they be able to figure it out late?
Approaching 7 minutes to play in our second match.
We have a nice little breeze here moving the air around. It's going to keep them dry and cool down there because they're going to be needing to play all day.
And for us, a little chilly.
Yeah, I'm going to be happy to move around here pretty soon. But this match is beginning to heat up. Number 1 for UBC, bringing it up the middle for a short little pass to his chaser, but no dice as the chaser was already beat. Maryland keeper brings it up, looking for substitutions on the side, and it's really important to make sure that you have your team with you, and you don't want to leave without you. Some teams do have the strategy of just hero balling it, taking it up, not waiting for their team, but both of these teams here are really about the investment of your battle buddies. Maryland still has the ball in the UBC zone, and play is stopped. We had physicality from number 88 on UBC. And it's turned over to her. She had some clean physicality as a defense against the Maryland player, and she's going to get the ball for UBC in the back. Oh, a bad pass to the chaser, and Maryland picks it back up, throws it to a pass on the front of the key, looking for something else. Play is stopped again. Another turnover back to UBC's keeper. UBC passes it off and subbing it out. It's very important that you get the ball out of your hands before you go sub on the bench, or else you'd have an illegal substitution on your hands. Referees are watching for that today and many other things, so it's important to play clean and important not to practice as a dirty team throughout the season. Number 1 for UBC coming up for a shot on the right hoop. Very quick, but even quicker hands from Maryland's keeper. Maryland bringing up the ball. Fast break, got his chasers with him. Got one on the left. He's coming up the right side, but there's formidable defense from UBC. Number 88 has a shot coming through. Maryland puts into the top hoop for another goal. That's 8 unanswered goals.
Just over 6 minutes to play here in match 2. And a reminder that our next match will feature Arizona State taking on Minnesota, 2 teams coming out of Pool 8.
Arizona State has been a great team to watch in recent years. You should stick around, see how they're doing this year.
And look at other teams in that pool. You'll have QC Boston, as well as GC Gumbo and Ohio University.
Gold Coast Gumbo is a newer team, but they have a lot of older Louisiana players that have been playing for a long time. Sarah Nealing's one of those notable players that's going to bring a lot to their beating game. UBC coming in for a goal and fighting for it into the keeper zone. And low goal, low hoop, low center of gravity, but it's still on the board. We got 80-20 in favor of Maryland.
And finally breaking that streak of 8 unanswered goals.
It's a gambler's fallacy, but it does matter in the hearts and minds of the players. When you have unanswered goals, it's good to break that pattern. Maryland bringing it up into the top of the neutral zone. Chaser's looking for his passing option. He's got a keeper on the left and somebody in the back. A nice back pass through the center hoop, and it's a goal.
The answer for Maryland right back up in front by 7 goals.
Maryland will not be unanswered as they have really settled into their own play style here. UBC has, I think, gotten to the general idea of how they should be playing against Maryland, but it's just a matter of keeping your head on your shoulders and playing as physical as they are. Maryland's really outpacing UBC here, and they may not be able to keep up, but they are a tenacious team. Number 1 coming up through the neutral zone, passing to number 76, looking for a kick. No dice for UBC on the back there.
That was Austin Wallace who went down for UBC.
Austin Wallace is a referee and a venerable one at that in the Northwest, and knows his rules. But sometimes, even when I'm playing on the field, I may forget a rule here or there in an effort to get the ball back. We have a referee conference on the pitch. They may be talking about the kick beforehand because it is illegal to kick at a ball in somebody's hand or about to be in their hand. But it was a pretty gray area as far as getting the ball out of there. Restarting play here, it's going to be Maryland ball, UBC in the backfield. Maryland's looking to pass it off with a UBC player just now beat out of their defensive zone. UBC is still doing well with bludgers over there, and they have superiority as far as I can tell.
Just over 4 minutes to play until the seeker floor.
We're going to see a really exciting matchup here because UBC's seeker core is very, very good and very physical, and they're going to have to be on the defense here. So we're going to have to see how Maryland adjusts to a defensive seeker when they come out. That's an overshot from Maryland into the backfield. Going to be a UBC turnover to UBC. Sorry, excuse me. But going on that seeker play, UBC has defensive seekers, and this is still within snitch range in technical, in our hearts and minds. It's 90-20, but this is nationals. This is the highest level of our competition of our sport, and you're not going to let an 8 or a 7-point lead discourage you from trying to catch that snitch. So UBC is going to be in defensive mode. They're going to get their seeker to help defend the snitch and add another barrier for Maryland to get that snitch. It's going to really be up to UBC's chasers and their keepers to capitalize on the absence of beaters. UBC taking it very, very slow up the pitch, making sure their hands are ready and keeping them warm. Up the right side without any support, we got a chaser on the left side, number 97 for UBC, looking for the pass back to the neutral zone for the UBC. UBC fighting with beaters and fighting with chasers as well. We got a good defensive movement from Maryland, passing it back to the middle for UBC. UBC is engaged by Maryland, number 58, with a nice hit right to the side, but they're still up. Number 1, Lewis Young, is looking for the options, but they're not giving him much. Maryland still on the defense, not giving an inch. Passing around, and a bad pass to the middle UBC player, bobbling around, and Maryland recovers. Maryland keeper at number 27 at their zone, and they're going to start playing their game too.
A lot of time used up there by UBC, and no points as a result, and Maryland quickly the other way pushes the lead to 8 goals.
A nice jump shot chip in there from Maryland, and that's just widening the gap. It is discouraging to see after, like you said, running down to the clock, and that's very strategic, but it's also advantageous for them to get their rest. They still have some lift in their feet, they still have some pep in their toes, but coming in later in the day, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams last through a day's worth of competition.
Inside of 2 minutes to play.
We got 1:54 on the clock, and Maryland is with bludger superiority here. One in the front and one in the back. Oh, a nice bludger battle from UBC and Maryland here. Both of them untouched, fighting for a bludger. We got Quaffle on the right side for UBC, and a good defense from number 58 on Maryland again. 58 on Maryland being engaged for number 32 on UBC, and a pass off to the chaser, getting them clear of defense. Moving forward very slowly, very deliberately, checking that field because UBC is good at setting up their defense, so Maryland's going to see how they're set up so they can adjust accordingly.
Approaching a minute to play until the seeker floor.
Hard beater throw from number 84 of Maryland. Running around, head on a swivel. UBC is down 2 bludgers for momentarily, but Maryland does not capitalize. Maryland keeper coming through the middle, powered through 2 defenders and makes the goal. 110-20. We have less than a minute left on seeker floor here, and we're going to see some interesting defense.
That was Jacob Knippel for Maryland scoring that one to push the lead to 9 goals as time continues to wind down. The snitch is now on the pitch.
The snitch is on the pitch, and we have 40 seconds until that snitch has to defend themselves. Snitch does not have a tail and must rectify that before the floor is over. All right, we have UBC ball here, and again, this is where they must capitalize when referee, beater, and seeker attention is on the snitch. It really takes away from a lot of the defense when one of your beaters is focused on the other team's seeker. We have an overthrow and a stoppage play and a card for number 32 on UBC. Looked like a yellow card to me. It's going to be a minute in the box for them, and when you have 23 seconds left on that seeker floor, you're going to need all the help you can get to defend. Ball's back to Maryland, number 58, who's shown a lot of great physicality in this game. Coming up top with one beater, Brandon Reeve is captain for UBC as a opposition. Passing it back to the chasers in the keeper zone at the top of the key, and a nice defensive beat for UBC on the top there. UBC recovering the quaffle as best as they can. Number 80 for Maryland, recovering the quaffle on the right side, but immediately beat.
That was Ben Wong.
Ben Wong, all right.
The time has expired.
The Seekers can seek, and we're up into the Seeker action here.
Aggressiveness from both sides.
Like I said, at the end of the Seeker floor, we had attention diverted, and UBC scores, making it 110-30. This is where they need to capitalize. If they want to stay in this game, they need to use all of their power they can to have the distractions work in their favor. Nice defensive setup from UBC, passing over to the 53 again for Maryland, and a nice easy shot through the left hoop for another score. That's 120-30.
It is Brendan Hutton, the Seeker for Maryland.
We have a stoppage of play here. Referee conference. Veteran referee Chris Beasley in yellow hat is definitely a go-to person for rules and for cadence. If he says he sees something, you're going to want to trust him because he's been in the game for a long time.
We've also got the Snitch changing shorts real quick.
Peterson's Shorts, who is Peterson's Brooms and Apparel, is a sponsor of U.S. Quidditch Cup 9, and all the Snitches are wearing Peterson's Shorts. It's a Velcro on the back, but they do come in different sizes, thankfully. But sometimes if it's too loose, it's going to impede your play. It's important to get that equipment right. Number 76, Austin Wallace, the Seeker for UBC, beating the feet as he was going to defend the Seeker. Ooh, a nice grab from number 3 for the back of the Snitch there, but no dice for Maryland. It looks like UBC is on the path to catch the Snitch. I think they're making a good play here early in the competition. They don't want to fight themselves out on a 120-3 matchup here and expel their energy for the rest of the day. Looks like we had a shot from UBC through the goal. We're about to see if it's going to count from head referee Chris Locke. That would make it a nice 8-point lead, better than 12, but it's still a sizable margin for the Seekers on UBC. Austin Wallace, yet again, seeking for UBC and doing a bang-up job, banging in there physically and mentally. It's a very quick game for Seekers. And you have to be as smart as you are fast.
120-30 your score. We resume play.
Plays on, and we have Maryland keeper bringing up the ball, and Quick looking for a passing option behind the hoops. Does not have one, but has one in front. Number 13, UBC beater, beats him in the face as a nice defense. Can UBC keep this quaffle 2-on-1?
That was Yannick Andreas with the beat.
Number 83 for UBC loses the quaffle in their zone, but it is recovered by a teammate. Number 30 for UBC, bringing up the left side. Chasers pass the quaffle. We got a whistle from another field that may have stopped play over here, but not on this pitch. Recover the quaffle to UBC, looking for the pass. Now looking for the shot next to the right hoop. Can he make it? Overshot, maybe a pass. UBC recovers at the top of the zone. Look for another setup option, and play is stopped.
And a yellow card, the headband coming off the Seeker for Maryland.
Now, that rule has evolved in the last few years of Quidditch. It used to be that if you were without a headband, you could not be in play. But there are still rules in place to make sure that you get your headband back. We do have a player down on the field, and we're going to make sure that player is okay for UBC before play resumes. As a rule here in Quidditch, if you are down for an injury, you must be subbed off. It's all about safety. We're not going to let you play. Continuing on after, we must stop play for you if you're injured. UBC subs it out. And we're looking for a good offensive series here because they do have the ball. UBC is set up for a great passing series here. They got somebody on each corner of the hoops here. And number 83 for UBC, fighting the defense, looking for a passing option. She has a couple, bounces it down, but it's picked up by Maryland in their own zone. Maryland passing off their chasers, coming up the middle and coming together. We got a chaser on the right and 2 in the middle, working with that asymmetrical defense for UBC.
The Snitch that time having fun with the Maryland seeker, Brendan Hutton, just wrapped his arms around him and then dropped his broom.
Well, that's what happens, and you cannot physically interact with Snitch that way. So he was going back to hoops either way. Stoppage of play again.
It was the Snitch wrapped around the seeker.
Oh, okay, good. It's really important in Quidditch to not only get your hand muscles good so you can hold your broom between your legs, but a lot of us have really developed our thighs because the broom is just a handicap, just like dribbling in basketball, and it's important to be able to play with it well. UBC coming through the keeper zone and beat right before a chance to get the hand up for the goal. Maryland recovers a bludger and the quaffle, and they're forming up in their zone with the opposition.
You can really see the strength of the Snitch. Looks as though he's just been snatched.
The Snitch is off the belt here, and we're calling a no catch from the Snitch referee, Chris Beasley. There's a lot of factors that go into a good Snitch catch, and you have to be mindful of what can cancel it out. Pass off to unopened Maryland chaser there. UBC recovers, coming up the right side. Right side looking for passes. They got 2 at the head of the key. No dice.
The new seeker for Maryland is Ben Wong, hit by the bludger.
Another beat to the feet for UBC seeker. And a goal for UBC, bringing it to 120-50.
Still a comfortable lead right now for Maryland as they work on the Snitch catch.
It's a great place to be. It's a great place to be when you have 7 points ahead. Snitch is still on the pitch, and it's still an anxious time. But that's what happens when you work hard early on. You make yourself in a good position later in the game.
And Ben Wong just looking for an opening right now.
Nice reach for the seeker, but we got some quaffle play in the back of UBC. We got 1 Maryland player alone against 5 UBC defenders, passing it off, and it's recovered by UBC chaser. UBC chaser turtling on the ground, passing it off, and subbing out. UBC walking it up, really surveying the field here because there's a lot going on. It's one of the greatest things about Quidditch is there's always something to watch, but always something to watch out for, too, when you're moving down the pitch. UBC has 1 bludger, and it's going to be their escort for their offensive chaser. Offensive chaser passing it to the back, number 83 for UBC. Open, wide open, but not moving after the pass. Maryland keeper number 3 comes in for the defense with a quick hit and a quick run up the right side. Maryland keeper on the right side, number 3, looking for the goal in the right hoop, and it's an easy in. That's 130-50 Maryland.
That's Brendan Hutton going from seeker to keeper for the score.
The Snitch has been snatched, and we look like we have a good Snitch catch for Maryland, waiting on the referees to signal good Snitch catch. Maryland catches a Snitch.
That is Ben Wong sealing the deal for Maryland in what was an impressive performance. At one time for Maryland, we saw them score 8 consecutive goals after British Columbia got on the board first.
Absolutely, and a lot of people would attribute to Wong being an MVP of this game, but I would argue that Brendan Hutton, consistently fast, consistently eyes wide open, and had at least 4 or 5 goals in this game by himself.
160-50 your final score in this one. Maryland opens up their first match with a victory. And before I let you go, Eric, we'll talk real quick. Arizona State versus Minnesota. Your thoughts on that matchup coming up next?
Arizona State has always been a good team. They have a lot of young blood here, a lot of young, agile blood that is going to be good for their team. Not a lot of size on their team, not a lot of strength. Minnesota is an old program that has a lot of good basis and rules and a lot of good basis, good play. You're going to see some good Quidditch. May not be fast, may not